Hello, we are back. This is the She-Hulk Attorney at Law Aftershow here on JLJ Media. I am the JLJ of JLJ Media, of course. And we're here talking about episode 5, Mean Green and Straight Poured into These Jeans. I'm James Lott Jr., of course, one of your hosts. Frank Rand, hopefully he'll come through. You don't see him, but maybe he'll come through. Who knows what's happening? He works at Marvel, so maybe he's stuck in the Marvel universe, some universe, he can't get out. But I have two people here. One who's with us also every week, Mr. Anthony Tupasi. Hello, Anthony.
Hello.
And I brought you another female, folks. Okay, so
finally.
She's one of my friends. I like her. I've known her for years. Her book is called In Plain Sight. That's where we first met. Talked about that. But she calls herself a nerd fashion blogger, but she does all kinds of stuff. But I feel like this episode is a perfect one to bring you on, Miss Kim McAndrew.
I know. I was like watching it today going, okay, well, this is perfect.
It was perfect. Okay, so we'll do some housekeeping first with some stuff. Right, you're here on JLJ Media. I see folks are coming into the chat room. Hello, you guys. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hello, Lotties. The super chats are open, so be kind, rewind. You feel so. Help to support the channel. We are here. So I'm putting that at the top, of course. Are here. Just go ahead, a little button below. But also, we are here. We are also on audio. So audio listeners, hello, we love you. Thanks for making our show a huge hit on my network. We're so glad you take time out of your day to listen to us. And those who are watching us, we're glad you want to look at us. So we're happy about that also. Of course. But we are JLJ Media. You can find us on all streaming audio platform surfaces, right? Services. And services. Like Apple, Google. Services too. Yeah. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, all those places. You can go there and do that. Or here on JLJ Media. And while you're here, hit that like button, hit that big subscribe button, hit that bell, do all those things you're supposed to do. So you'll be in touch with when we do these shows, and when I do all these shows. When we're here on Thursdays, 8 p.m., always, to talk about the She-Hulk show that's on Disney+. I think that's all the church announcements, I think. And we can start talking, I guess. Hi, you guys. First of all,
hey.
Hello.
Okay, perfect. So Kim, because you're the newer one of the panel tonight, I wanted to get your thoughts on the season thus far and the series thus far. We'll get to season 5 in a second, but they already know our feelings. But to the cast, I see Haywood, Beauty for Ashes, Kirsten, we love you. Go ahead and tell us what you think.
I absolutely love it. It's just a nice kind of comedy break that I think we all need. And I think it's a really good companion piece to Thor: Love and Thunder. Even though Thor: Love and Thunder had a little bit of heaviness in it, obviously, but this is just straight for fun, and I think that we just kind of, all of us Marvel people, needed a little bit of a joke break from all the heaviness, because so far Phase 4 has been pretty heavy. But I really like it, and I'll, of course, Wong is in it, and I love Wong. So.
Love Wong, yeah. I know who he was, but now I love him.
Well, it's funny. We spent so much time about, like, it kept going back to Wong last week. Like, oh, but if Wong could have his own show, if we get more Wong in there, which was funny because she said that last episode. Like, well, we have him in here, so you know that they're really pulling the strings for this one.
Yes.
Yeah. I said a spinoff for Wong. I'm in.
I'm in.
Wong and Madison with the Y.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody suggested online that the two of them should watch other shows and do commentary.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
Kind of like 90 Day Fiance Pillow Talk.
Yes.
Have them watching other shows, and I'm like, I will tune into that.
I would.
Every week. Yeah, I'd be there.
I do it. That's so funny. It's so funny. I saw a faux trailer of Madison that came up. People are so good. And they're all Madison with the Y. You don't know where the Y is not where you think it is. Like, she said that. And I'm like, it was her and Tatiana hanging out. And I'm like, oh my God, I would totally, if that was for real, I totally watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love the other touch was They had and I can't remember. Is it Jamila? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Jamila. Yes.
Okay. She went out dressed as Tatiana, like after the first week,
Totally.
and just found some posters of She-Hulk and covered them up with spray paint and just wrote Tatiana and just did that for social media. And I'm just like, that is so good. It's just so simple that but she did that. And I just really like that, the actors are just so involved and they're all in on the fun as well.
Now, mind you, I don't know if you heard this, I did an episode on it. There's actually some She-Hulk inspired makeup by Urban Decay that's out. Any thoughts on that, Kim?
I haven't seen it, but I will totally check it out.
Because... Oh, you have? Okay, yes. I did a show on it, actually.
Okay, Urban really Decay is good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, they're vegan and all of that. So exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I learned something, gave me something new to look at. So yes, it's very interesting the way they decided to do that. So I thought, so they're doing a whole thing on this kind of, even though in real life they kind of did a little something. So it's kind of fun. That's good. Okay, Kim, also, I'm sorry, I just have to ask you these questions because you're on here and I asked Candace the same thing. What do you feel about the backlash that's getting from some parts of the fandom about being so female centric?
I just laugh at them because I'm just like, guys, seriously, it's a TV show about a green lawyer. What? Why are you often it's not a cure for cancer. It's not peace in the Middle East. It's a funny show about a woman that can turn into a big green lawyer and has court cases about elves that pretend to be Megan the Stallion. I mean, why are you getting so worked up about this? Yeah. There's so many other things you could get worked up about in this world that I don't think that's one of them. I just really don't.
Yeah, it's one of those things. As a dude, I was like, I figured it's a female-led show. Clearly, they're going to talk about things from a female. But even the first episode I saw, they showed Ally McBeal on the screen. I thought it was kind of funny touch. They had a little flash of Ally McBeal, like another female. I thought it actually makes sense to me. It's kind of like it's her life that we're following. So of course she's going to say certain things and go on dates, and they ain't not saying the truth. I mean, a lot of stuff is true. Sorry, guys.
And they've stayed very true to the comics.
Yes.
She breaks the fourth wall in the comics. The comics are, about her dating life and they're very jokey and funny and it's not, heavy-handed or, dead serious like Captain America can be. It's just a total different thing. And they've set the tone using the comic books. So the other thing is I don't understand why guys are so surprised. They're like, oh my God, they've just taken it and they've just taken this comic book character and completely, and I'm like, no, they didn't. They actually pulled her straight from the pages and put her on screen and she's the same.
Yeah. I gotta make sure, so in the chat room, let me tell you, okay, so the guy who plays the tailor, this reminds me of me, I'm like, whatever. Here's the deal. He's a great actor who I just watched in 2 seasons of The Flight Attendant, which is on HBO Max. He was so good in that series. So what I saw, I was like, I remember him in his hairdo. I remember him from The Flight Attendant. So if you want to check out, it's Kaylee Cuoco. The show is amazing. You want to check that out on HBO Max. But he's from that series. And I'm glad he's working. I don't know who he is. I'm glad he's working. But he's not me.
Well, I there was some James vibes, except he wasn't as nice. He was not as caring and gentle as he's kind of mean.
Yeah, he was. So let's get started. We're going to this show. Again, once again, 30 minutes. All the shows are about half hour long. There was no post.
No.
And I was very disappointed.
Yeah, I know, because there's the Georgia, the peach, and you're like,
right. I know. I was like, I kept watching it and waiting, and then went straight to something else.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Oh.
I don't want to watch that. I just want to watch the after credits.
Yes. So that's telling. That's like, we'll get to that in a second. So this whole episode it's very tongue-in-cheek, modern times. Titania is like this person who takes it. And here's what's funny. I know somebody who did this in real life. They hated. I was on a show at AfterBuzz TV, and they hated us so much. Before we got the name, they took the name on Twitter. I took the name on and the domain name, and they bought it. And I was like, I don't know if you guys know about this, but there was a time period a few years ago, people were doing that.
Yeah.
If you have your names, I got JamesHQ.com, JLK.com. I went out there and bought everything I could, just because it was like they're doing that and like doing nasty things and stuff. So
and selling it, right? They were selling it. Yeah.
Because my one friend, it turned out to be a porn site. It was like they took his name into a porn site. I was like, I mean, that was kind of cool, but
I was like, why is that bad, James? I would have loved that.
JamesHQ.com, bitches, JamesHQ.com. No, but so when I saw this, I thought, how funny. She usurped the name, and they tied into the whole fact that she doesn't care for the name anyway, so to speak.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the overall theme of this court case and thing? Anthony, first.
It brought me back to that, what you just said. Like, a lot of people were buying domain names and using accounts on social media just so they can have it, so that because they knew it was going to be taken at some point, so that they could sell it off. It's like a cheap way to make money. So, it was interesting. Going back to exactly what Kim said. I mean, I feel like this show is just departing away from like the serious, intense, dark Marvel that we're going into. So finally, we're seeing a superhero fight, not through fists and action and through some time warp thing and portals, but we're actually seeing her. I mean, people are disappointed. It's She-Hulk, attorney at law. This is still a court show. And they even, like you alluded to the whole Ally McBeal thing, because when did it not, if you get disappointed, like, wait, when this become a law show? It says that. It says attorney at law. So I'm sorry if it was, the expectations were on you. So anyway, but yeah, I thought it was fun just to see her kind of fight it out through the whole episode. Just as a lawyer, just, it's a different kind of way of fighting it out. And this is her. This is what she ultimately wanted anyway, not to be She-Hulk. She wanted to be a lawyer, right? Like a strong lawyer. So kind of, yeah.
And one thing I just want to say, Renee Elise Goldsberry, I thought it was weird that one episode she showed up for a second and then they just didn't do more with her. Yeah. I was like, is she coming back? She came back and she was showcased this episode. I'm a Hamilton fan. Sorry, I love Hamilton. Yeah. And so I'm happy. So I full disclosure, and Life to Live fan. So full disclosure, huge fan of hers. But I always wondered, it was just so weird that time when they showed her for a second. They made a comment and she was just gone. They came back, so they brought her back. So,
it was really funny, James, when actually I saw her and then she came back, because it was like the way they made her appear is like, oh, you're going to come to me for this case. I go, James is going to be so happy.
I was like,
just like, I knew it. I could just feel your smile in the back of my head.
I did. I was like, it's her, of course. I thought they were going to give it to that Pugsley guy. That'd be him. That would be a natural choice. But I'm like, they brought her. I'm like, so happy. But anyway, I'm a huge Hamilton fan anyway. Go ahead, Kim, your turn, please.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved at the end when she, she said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad we're friends now." and she's like, "Did I say that out loud?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, yes." I'm like, that is so me. I'm just like, whenever I get to hang out with somebody cool, I'm just like, oh, this is so long. And she says the quiet part out loud, and that's one thing I really like about Jennifer, is that she just says it and then goes, "Oh, I said that, didn't I?" And it's like, you did, but it's like, we were all thinking it, so it's okay.
Now, one of the things they also focus on throughout this series, and of course today, is her looks.
Yeah,
the way she dresses. Yeah. It's always, and this time it was kind of cool that they actually showed that she needs something that she can actually go with her change. So I'm gonna ask the fashion bloggers like that, how does she feel? How do you feel about the fashions on the show? Because some of the clothes were fabulous on the show. This episode, Titania was working everything on this episode. What do you think, Kim?
I loved, Titania's, her over the top.
Yes.
Everything is on, trend look. And she's wearing every single trend at the same time. Just so much. She just padded headband.
Yes.
Winged liner. Sparkle, sparkle. There's fringe all over. I mean, she's like, okay, this is on trend, so I have to wear this, have to wear this, and it's like she never really has learned balance in her look. She is just extra all day, and I really like that. I just like that about her, because you see so many influencers that do that. They throw every single trend on at the same time, and you're just like, oh honey, you could take a couple of those things off. We got a lot going on there.
Less is more.
It reminds me of Absolutely Fabulous. I was an Ab Fab fan back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And that's homegirl. She always wore all the quad all together. It's like, it was just like the fashion, Patsy and Eddie were so hilarious. But Patsy, she always wore everything. Eddie wore everything. She wore everything. Just always everything at the same time. So many think of that. That's funny. And so now there's a couple of things I need questions. You guys may be able to answer this. I don't answer this. So, okay. So now we're talking about her clothing and looking different. And so Nikki talks to Pugs about his drip guy. So, okay, you guys have to explain to me what all that means. And they mentioned Iron Man 3 sneakers.
Yeah, Kim, go on this. I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, from what I understand, they're just basically the Iron Man 3 sneakers are just it's the Marvel world of the Air Force Ones.
Yeah,
is what they are. And so just from what I understand, like a lot of sneaker collectors, and please correct me if I'm, because I'm not. So but they'll get one to wear and one to display.
Yes.
A lot. And they just had, and I just loved that they had this like underground, they had reality going on, and then it was, well, now we have this drip guy who basically is Edna Mode from The Incredibles and makes suits for superheroes on the DL. And I'm like, I really like the way that they keep pulling the two worlds together and make it seem like that could be a real thing. I believe that there is a real drip guy out there.
Right. And Anthony, did you like they showed the Thor hammers and America shields?
Well, okay, so I was split
between spellings of Avengers.
The Avengers.
Avengers.
Yeah, well, because it's funny because you had mentioned this a lot with after credits, because there was part of after credits that has a spelling. What is that supposed to mean? I think you asked Frank about that, and now I think we figured it out. The only thing about it, I'm a little on one kind of criticism on this. The whole part with I like Nikki, another fashion icon in this show for sure. I don't know why, but the whole Pug thing was really weird. Like he never really kind of spoke like he did with this kind of weird kind of street accent thing.
He did speak in a weird
it was just it threw me off because because like when I think it was when who was it that could shapeshift?
Oh, that chick who was
the elf.
The elf. And when she did that, he was very lawyer-like, he's very, and this, he was like, yo, like, check it out. It was very weird to me. So like, I didn't really buy that with him. But I did like the part in the elevator, just as like a photo shot of them wearing all this bootleg wear over there, especially with Nikki with over her, like her shoulder. I mean, it was just, it was lovely. I love that scene. I just like that part. That in the elevator was wonderful.
Yeah, because that is literally either me and my son or me and my boyfriend when we go into Hot Topic. It's like, I'll take one of these, I'll take some of these, take some of these, take some of these, put the hat on, get the shield, you just walk out just covered in, it's like, I didn't know I needed all these until I walked in here, and now I have all of these things. And
even like when they first get there to this boba shop, it's like, he's sure this is it, and then they kind of fool you, think maybe this is not, because Puck is kind of a a goof anyway, so you could totally see him messing this up. And then Nikki tries to speak Chinese, it gets awkward. That part was just funny to me, just because we kind of were diverted in a way, like I didn't think maybe this isn't the place, but then it had to be, because then where does the story go from here at this point?
Yeah. I work for 4 lawyers at Discovery, so I'm a legal assistant. So yeah, I can tell you that the lawyers they have very different voice and mannerisms when they're just in the office talking to you about their weekend.
Yeah.
And then when they get on the phone to discuss a contract, it's like totally different. And and when they, they start arguing about things and it gets heated, that's when it's really fun. Because that's when I turn my music down and go. I'm just working. I'm not listening.
I'm not listening. Girl. I'll be doing the same thing. So we got that going. Okay. We never. Okay. Never mind. I got that. Okay. So the lawyer, thing. Oh, then the next big thing, actually, because that's going on, to get her to win. They had to bring back her dates.
Oh,
that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Those 2 fine ass black men. I was like,
again, a point where I thought James is going to be really into this part again.
I was like, that first black man was hot stuff. Anyway,
yes, he was.
Yes, he was. And the guy with the blue eyes, the last one, he was hot too. But I thought, actually, that's very clever. Actually, it's very, because when they were talking about, because she actually signed up. Again, it tied. For being a silly show, they actually did tie some stuff together.
Yeah.
At one point, she changed it to She-Hulk to get dates, and now it's actually saving her life in terms of her name.
Yeah.
Those characters. So to bring them back in, when she turned around, they're all like, "Hi!" I started laughing. I thought, that is hilarious. Each one, that one is totally creepy. One who the fetish was all into her fetish. But I felt bad because the one at the end likes her as She-Hulk, doesn't like her as Chad.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, come on.
But he does say, to be brutally honest, and that was a crushing part for her, right? Because now we actually have some. I mean, I like that part because it's such a win-loss situation, right?
Yeah.
She wins the case but emotionally lost, and she has to keep it together and all this stuff.
But see, also it's a dating thing too. Because dating sucks. I'll tell you, I'm out there trying. It sucks. I was going to tell you, this is the thing. It's it's a very good sign of like how real life is. We're not all She-Hulks or whatever. It's a thing where they like you for an image.
Yes.
They like you for a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not that way, their foot's out the door. And that happens all the time, just us regular folk. It happens to all of us. You'll see a certain image online or a certain image here, and then when they don't see it exactly the way they think they want it, then they go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought it was a great depiction. But they all kind of talk about the whole thing. Of course, she wins, of course. But that's the last we saw of Titania, right? That's the last we've seen of her.
Well, I hope not. To that point, James, what's interesting about that part that to me that stood out, actually in general with that whole trial, was that one of these things, that this main theme of this show is reincorporation. Like, I feel like everyone we've seen, you probably haven't seen the last of them. Whether that's Madison, you feel like she's going to come back. I never thought some of these dates would come back, and they did.
Yeah, I know, me either.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So we keep seeing these characters you don't think are there play these small parts. They're going to be back somehow in some place even if it's small, they'll be back.
Now, let me go to my thing. So, so she wins. Like, okay. So who is in the box? The hat box. Why are we excited? Why are we scared? I'm telling you guys, I'm a novice. I know Chad, you probably know also, but please explain to me.
Go, you go.
Was Daredevil's helmet.
Yeah.
So it's out there, okay.
Well, but what's significant about it that I thought was interesting, so I watched the Daredevil series. I was a big fan of that on Netflix. And so now it's changed over hands into Disney and everything. What's interesting about that suit, in the series, the 3-season series, it was a red helmet. It was red. It was the old. So this one was actually gold. So I think they're trying to, and we had this conversation with Frank last week because we had said, that show was actually pretty dark and pretty heavy and intense. But he's, if I'm correct, Frank had mentioned that that in the comics there was kind of a sillier, more goofier version that was the gold suit, and this is what we might be seeing. So we also knew this designer was designing for people of that are superheroes, right? Because he knew about he wanted to know if she would be a part of the Avengers,
right?
So Matt Murdock
is coming back.
Yeah,
they kept saying that. So so that's, I guess that's what. So we're all, everybody wants Daredevil on here. Do you want Daredevil on here, Kim? Do you want him on here?
You know what? I don't know very much about Daredevil at all, and just the one scene that he was in, Spider-Man No Way Home, I was like, he just really has a lot of charisma, and I'm very interested to see more. My kid was too young when the Netflix series was on. Okay. So it was just too dark for him. So we didn't watch any of those Netflix series. And so I'm just basically MCU only, just because I didn't want to watch something, without him, because he would just be like, please, 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 please. And I didn't want him to end up watching something that was just way too dark for him. I mean, we could go back and watch it now, but I think if he's going to be a more, kind of a sillier, lighthearted, I think he'll fit right in. He's an attorney as well, so having them team up on court cases or team up, beating up bad guys, or a little bit of both, will be great.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a really good thing.
Here's another thing I think it might be interesting about it. We keep talking about She-Hulk and Jen being judged by what? Her appearance.
Yeah.
Matt Murdock is blind.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that turns into anything between those two, because he's not going to be judging by her appearance, and he's going to be basing it, if there's a connection between them two, it might be based on just her professionalism and just as a person. So I'm curious.
Yeah, that could be interesting too.
Well, they keep mentioning about her and the Avengers.
Yeah.
What's that all about? Is that just was she ever a member at all, ever, or not? Or is that just, are we hoping that she aspires to be one of them at some point? Is that the point, I guess?
She was an Avenger, I believe. And I know that she was in A-Force, which was kind of a girl Avengers comic series.
Oh, okay.
4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember how long ago, but America Chavez was on that team, and Captain Marvel, and and a few others, and that was a popular series, and so I'm wondering if they're going to do A-Force, or if they're going to just bring buddy into kind of a new Avengers, because Iron Man's gone, so Ironheart will be coming in, and so on and so forth. I think they're just kind of slowly just kind of phasing out the old guard and bringing in some new ones. Because that's one thing about comics, is that it's always changing.
Right, right. That part,
and it's infinite, right? There's also different shades and different levels, right? Yeah,
and nobody's ever dead.
Right.
And nobody's dead.
Like soap opera, same thing. Nobody's ever dead.
Oh yeah. No. It's like, oh, he died. And I'm like, comics. No, he's not dead.
This version, maybe. Yeah.
He might be dead for a while, but he's not dead.
Dead. And that's, again, it's like soap operas. They always come back at some point. Like their head's cut off, doesn't matter. We just reattach it.
Nah, that's fine.
Well, one show, the guy had no heart. He just literally gave his twin brother's heart, and he's alive. So I'm just like, sure, why not? On Days Are Alive. Sure, I'm like, Days Are Alive. Sure, why not? Yes. It furthers the plot. No, but I think it's interesting because this is where we are leading into this whole thing of, say, with Star Wars, there is the movies, Now there is, we'll say TV for the sake of streaming. It's series. We'll say series.
Yeah.
Now we have both those in the canon now, not just movies, not just comics and books, which are some things are getting decanonized, obviously, and to fit. I think it's fascinating how it's all this. Well, I don't know how to get all this to work. But adding folks like, was it Captain Marvel? Who's the chick? Ms. Marvel?
Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. I think they're going to be joining up. That's going to be something.
Yeah, WandaVision. Now you have She-Hulk. You have these female-led ones.
Yeah.
That are not just the guys.
Yeah.
I think it's very. What do you guys think about that? I think it's very interesting. They're adding that in there too.
I think it's just, honestly, they're taking this from very popular comic books that people bought and read. I mean, so they know, like, people are like, oh, you had to make Miss Marvel, and it's like, yeah, do you know how many times they had to reprint that series of hers, of Kamala Khan's, like 3 or 4 times, and because it just sold out.
Yeah.
And it was just so well received. And I like the fact that they do enough with the source material that you can just watch it. You don't have to read the source material.
Right.
You don't have the time. I mean, I know I haven't cracked a comic book in a while. But for a while there, I was reading them pretty religiously, but I'm just crazy busy now. And but it hasn't taken away that world from me. I can still turn on the TV and go, okay, well, I didn't read the source material for this, but I know that Kevin Feige and his, group at Marvel are going to use that source material to continue the cohesive story and to keep the world, tied together.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, one of the things too is not only like, I feel like some people are thinking, oh my gosh, Marvel's getting so woke. The problem is Marvel's always woke. I mean, for years. It's not She-Hulk just came out a couple of years ago. I mean, this has been around. Ms. Marvel is a long time. Shang-Chi was like in the 70s, I believe. So, I mean, they're pulling from the material that we've had a lot of Captain America. We had 3 versions of Spider-Man. So now they're just pulling for some new stuff, and it just happens to be diverse. And it's also applying to everybody because they're just expanding that universe to be like, well, you're Middle Eastern, there's Ms. Marvel, you're Asian, Shang-Chi, and there's not just that, like the one thing, it's not just the one character that's that, like in the Shang-Chi universe, there is other Asian characters in there, like Wong, so they're in all these little things, it applies to everybody in some way, and they're probably going to expand upon that even more. So
yeah. I mean, as Stan Lee said, Marvel is the world outside your window.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige does not forget that. And he says, okay, the world outside my window looks very diverse, and because it is, and just and not bowing to pressure for people. If they can't use their imaginations and see something in a woman character or an Asian character or an African American character that they can connect with, that's kind of on them if they lack that kind of imagination.
Yeah.
Because, as a woman, my whole life, you see movies with white guys, and it's like we find things to connect with that are beyond the gender of the character or the color of their skin. It's the fact that Peter Parker is a nerd and picked on at school, and I'm like, oh, can relate. Yes, hi, I understand that. And just and in Captain America, when he's Skinny Steve and he's picked on, and he's just like, I don't like bullies, and I'm like, I can relate to that. Hi, how's it going? And it's just, I don't know if it's, they've had it so long their way where they don't have to use their imaginations to find something in common with Jennifer Walters that they just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I just feel like it's like they haven't exercised that mind muscle yet.
Yeah. But I think, Kim, you mentioned this earlier, and I think this is one of the best points that you mentioned, was that this is a lighter side of Marvel. This is the entry level. This is the gateway drug to Marvel. Because if you didn't follow the comics, I mean, and if you didn't watch every single Avengers movie and everything before that, this is your way to jump in. And if like, I've talked about this before with other people, like, if you honestly take She-Hulk and get real serious about it, the joke's on you. Like, this is never going to be a good show for you. This is based on goofy entry level with a little bit of Marvel sprinkled into it. And like you said, it's based off of those comics that were the same thing in She-Hulk.
They're fun. And I mean, who out of us that hasn't, gone on an awful, horrible, awkward date can't relate to, that dating montage was just, I was like, oh God.
I've been there. I've been there.
Oh, I have been in that seat before, and it's not fun. And I as a plus size woman, I totally related to it, because it was it's kind of opposite though, because guys are like, they have the hots for her when she's the big girl.
Yes.
And when she's a little thing, they're like, whatever. And but when she, when she can carry them to the bedroom, they're like, oh yeah, please, hi. Yeah. It's like, I'll go on a date with you. And it's very much, I've seen the disappointment, even though I have the full body pictures on the dating websites, and I'm a plus size person, and I'm very open about this. And you walk in and they're just like, I didn't think you really were, it's like,
yeah.
It's like, I really am.
Girl, I'm considered a big bear guy, so trust me, I understand that whole thing. I'm 300 pounds, 6 feet tall. I understand what that means. I'm not a small flower. But I want to say something that Kim said that I do want to give my 2 cents on, that I completely agree with her. I think the thing is, for so long, if you're white, straight, and male, the comics were for you. You didn't have to do any thinking. You have to see it through any other lens. There was nothing. The rest of us have had to see it through the lens of who we are. And what Kim said, I think, is so true. We've had to filter it somehow, put it in a box somewhere, and find the things we can relate to of that person or persons or character or characters to fit us. Because we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
We're not seeing it. We're seeing these characters that are given to us. Superman was some white guy. Batman was a white guy. They're all this. We're seeing that, but we had to kind of conform to find something to relate to.
Yeah.
Whether it was gender, sexuality,
or even James, even height. Wolverine was my hero because he was 5'2" or 5'3". I was like, wait, when I had the Marvel cards, I go, wait, this guy's my height? Everyone else is like 6'2". Like, no, and what a cool superhero to be, like he was no slouch. I mean, he was like the hero of all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Not the Marvel, but the X-Men movies, So I was like, when Hugh Jackman played, I was like, yeah, I get it, but he's supposed to be like my size, man. Come on.
Short king.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. And that's our point. It's like we've all on this panel have had to contort and twist to find
connection.
I like that person because I can relate to the way they were raised, or I like that person because they have a power I'd love to have. Like, that's, I think we have to. So nowadays, as they're starting to catch up and do these castings and do these things, I think people are like losing their shit. They just don't. You're right, Kim. They don't know how to process it because they've never had to before.
Yeah.
It was never asked of them.
It's just like, I'm not a Muslim girl teenager. And I'm like, well, I'm not either. But I get her, and I understand a lot of stuff about her. My family life wasn't the same as hers, not by I grew up in Arkansas, for crying out loud. No, it wasn't. But I remember, being a teenager and having a crush on the cute boy and also, I just, had things that I was super fan of. Like, she's a super fan of Captain Marvel, and she's really into it, and she likes to cosplay, and so it's kind of a nerdy hobby, and she's nerdy friends, and I totally relate to that. And I don't have to be Muslim, and I don't have to be a teenager to relate to that.
Yeah.
And they don't either. And they're just missing out on some good stories. And it's kind of a shame.
I agree. I totally agree. We'll end it on this because we got a little more serious in there, but I just want to get.
Oh, sorry.
I'm glad we said it. Nobody to say it. You guys can all comment when you want to. It's fine. But I think these shows, the Marvel Universe shows, the Star Wars shows, all these shows. I mean, let's take the racism out of it, folks. It's just you're seeing diverse casting, and in some cases, it makes perfect sense. Why not? So who cares? Are the stories good? Are you entertained by them? Are they good? Do they make you feel something? Do they fit what you like about that type of genre of film or TV show? That's what we're talking about. Now, if they do something that's completely outrageous, you would never act like that's one thing. But who cares about what race they are, sexuality, whatever? It's a story good.
Yeah. Is it well written? Is it well acted? Is it well?
Like that's kind of how I feel about that, I guess.
Yeah.
So. Kim, thanks. She'll be back. That's what I was thinking. Her and Candace Mack will be back later in the season. Awesome. We have 4 more episodes left, right? I think 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. So we're in the middle of the season. But she'll be back. She says she'll be back.
Yeah.
Kim, thanks for being on the show. I want you to tell people where you can find all your goodness.
Oh my goodness. You can find my website is inplainsight.style. And if you go on Instagram, I'm at inplainsight.style there too. And TikTok, same thing. And Facebook, same thing. So that's where you
follow her. Follow her. I'll follow you. I'll find you. Follow her.
I'll follow you back.
She'll follow you back. Come on, do it. Anthony Tupasi, what do you have going on?
Well, I'm a part of the JLJ Media empire. So there's Nature Is Me songs through JLJ Media, and I do a lot of voice work with the stories. I'm on a YouTube show called Nerd Java, where I do review Ms. Marvel if you haven't watched it yet, and we talk about some of those things. And my Instagram is No Bite Too Small, and that's 2 as in the number 2. And I do a lot of fun things with food on that thing. So anyway, and thanks to Haywood and Kirsten for watching, because we do love you. Thank you for supporting us. You guys are great.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, and thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Kim is a star.
Yeah, Kim will be back. She'll be back. We'll have her back on. She'll be back. She's part of this now. She's part of our universe.
Awesome.
And I'm James Lott Jr. We're all James Lott Jr. sold at James Lott Jr. and also speaking platforms. You can follow again. This show is on all streaming services. So thank you to all the audio listeners. You're very important to us. And thank you to all the video people who are watching us and our lovely faces. Everyone, please take care of yourselves. Have compassion.